friends and enemies. Today we are going to talk about the 2017 album Somos, Máquinas by Frío y Vacío. This 12-song album is also Frío y Vacío's debut. Frío y Vacío is a post-punk duo from Mexico City. For my English-speaking viewers, their name, Frío y Vacío, translates to cold and empty. A great name if you ask me. The title, which is also the name of a song on the album, translates to We Are Not Machines. The two members of this duo are Ángel Kauf, who you may know from cold wave act Isotropia or minimal synth project Stockhausen, and John Gill from synthpunk band Identik Fact and no-wave band Moriki. I am familiar with and consider myself to be a fan of all the musical acts that the two halves of this duo are involved with. But I will say this particular music act is different from the other ones that they are attached to in several ways. According to Facebook, Ángel Kauf is the singer and guitarist, and John Gill is the bassist, and they both play the drum machine. Before I go any further into this review, I would like to remind you to like this video and leave a comment and subscribe to my channel if you want to hear more about goth music from Latin America. Be sure and watch till the end if you want to know the secret emoji to include in your comment. While the side projects that the musicians in this band are a part of are largely electronic synthesizer-driven acts, Frío y Vacío is a more typical post-punk goth act. Don't get me wrong, there are definitely pedal effects being used and a drum machine rather than actual drums, but that is not the predominant driving force throughout. I think that the sounds evoked in this album are good balance between old and new. The instrumentation is very typical old-school vocals, guitar, bass, drum machine. However, it differentiates itself from a lot of more typical post-punk goth acts in various ways. For one, we actually get some distortion in that electric guitar, not just typical post-punk jangle twang. Usually that distortion pedal isn't touched in music of the goth variety outside of gothic rock, but gothic rock, this is not. So that alone gives it a very unique sound. With this being a two-man band, every instrument gets time to shine, so that booming post-punk bass is prominent throughout. There's also the matter of the way the vocals are handled. Ángel Kauf, so far as I can hear, seems to be in the higher end of the baritone range, common enough for goth male singers. What's additionally noteworthy is that there's a lot of dissonance added to those vocals. Dissonance is used for the instrumentation throughout, but with the addition to the vocals, it gives it that truly cave-like and empty feeling. The lyrics, which are all in Spanish, so if you don't know Spanish, just use one of the many great websites that provide translation, largely talk about feelings of emptiness and emotional emptiness, loneliness. Some of them are more general, the whole I don't fit in with what society wants type of songs, while others are more specific, say, about the disillusion of a relationship. I think both of these subjects are, unfortunately, quite relatable to most listeners. Two songs feature guest artists. One of those songs is Autodestrucción, which features Identik Fact, this being one of John Gill's other bands, and the other is Ansia, which features Argentine darkwave duo Makaria. As to be expected, the song with Identik Fact has some more keyboard effects added and has that general chaotic electronic sound that we have come to expect from the so-called synthpunk genre. Ansia, the song with Makaria, stands out because Makaria, being a two-woman duo instead of a two-man duo like Frío y Vacío, has female vocals. Slightly different subject, but does anyone know what's become of Makaria? Their social media has been inactive since 2017, the last time they released any music. It's a shame if they quit because I like what little I've heard from them, but I also understand that keeping up an indie band can be quite a challenge. Anyways, back to this album. I like that while those two guest featuring tracks stood out in their own way, they still fit in with the rest of the album. Still fitting with that dark post-punk sound, but standing out enough from their differences that having a guest made sense. I did notice that both of those songs were more fast-paced than most of the rest of the album, so there's that. Not that any of the songs were slow. Only song I would define as slow was a slow-paced 1-minute instrumental interlude, therefore not a song but a piece, but they are slower relatively speaking. Another thing, there are 2 versions of this album, the one that you get from Frío y Vacío's Bandcamp page and the one from In Club Records' Bandcamp page. The songs are all exactly the same, it's just the order that's slightly different. I suppose you can listen in any order you want. If you have the digital copy, though, through In Club Records, you can get it on cassette, so if you're a cassette fiend like me, that's probably the version you'll be getting. If you can see what cassette is under my copy of Nos Somos Máquinas from that tiny diagonal sliver in this image, consider it a spoiler for another one of my reviews coming out later this year. I'd like to give special thanks to Frío y Vacío for giving me permission to feature a clip of one of their songs in this video. The one featured here is Frío y Vacío, my personal favorite track on this album. If you've watched this far, leave a comment with the robot emoji. These guys may not be machines, but that emoji certainly is. If you want to hear more from Frío y Vacío, I have all of their social media and streaming links in the description below, including both Bandcamp versions. If you want to follow me elsewhere on social media, my link tree is in the description as well. If you have extra money and would like to help support this channel, you should buy me something off of my Bandcamp wish list. Also linked below. It's very carefully crafted and only made up of albums I would like to review here. Don't feel obligated, it's just an option. Until next time, bye now.